Okay, guys, today we're going to be talking about a totally insane interview the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, did with Piers Morgan. I mean, beyond insane. Beyond insane. You would almost think after watching it that Mike Huckabee is a representative of the Israeli government, not the American government. Legitimately insane. One of the most insane interviews I've seen of a U.S. official in a very long time. And we're going to talk about it. So, just for some context, how did this begin, this interview with Piers and Mike Huckabee? Well, basically, Piers was criticizing the Israeli government's actions in the Gaza Strip, and Mike Huckabee responded saying, "Piers, you're stupid. You're in kindergarten. You don't know what you're talking about. Stick to talking about other stuff." Like, very disgusting language, to be totally honest with you. And some of the clips that I'm about to show you guys of how this interview went down, genuinely shocking. I was genuinely shocked. Some of the justification and just like outright propaganda that he said, I mean, it's over the top. It's over the top. So I'm going to show you a couple of different clips here, and we'll break it down afterward. Like, what is going on with this guy? And the fact that this guy is representing the United States government, I mean, it's really not a surprise why the United States basically signs off on everything Israel does as it pertains to the Gaza Strip, and Iran as well. I mean, it's genuinely insane. And just to be clear, guys, Mike Huckabee, this guy literally supports Israel for biblical reasons. He doesn't even think a Palestinian exists. He's on the record saying this in the past. But this guy is a total like extremist on this issue. There's no question about it. So here's the first clip, and we'll talk about it after. And by the way, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It's super good for the algorithm, and it helps out the channel immensely. And drop a comment as well. And my Patreon link's down below. If you want to become a member, you can hit that join button. So thanks for watching. Here's the first clip, and we'll talk about it after.
The horror that was unleashed upon them is equivalent to 40,000 Americans being slaughtered and massacred. And I wish more Americans put in that context that over 1,200 people murdered that morning is the equivalent of 40,000 Americans. And I promise you, if someone came and killed 40,000 Americans in one day, the difficulty would be to restrain Americans from wanting to do what Israel has been accused of, but absolutely has not done, and that's genocide. I've said this many times. Piers, if Israel is trying to commit genocide, they're really honestly bad at it, because they could have done genocide on October the 8th. We know they have the military capacity, but they haven't. They have tried to spare civilian life, tried to contain the collateral damage, but they don't get any credit for that, appreciation for that. Instead, they get condemned by the very people that ought to be their allies and that ought to understand that if the same thing happened, whether it was in France or Great Britain or...
Okay, guys. So first of all, again, I just want to say right off the bat, I think the argument that you see a lot of these people use talking about how, oh, it's the equivalent of 40,000 Americans dying. What a weird analogy to make. What a weird, just because they're Israeli does not mean they matter the same amount as an American citizen. Everyone is still a person and a human being. Like, why? It's not the equivalent of 40,000 Americans dying. What are you talking about? That's frankly disrespectful and offensive, actually, to Americans. That is I think it's pretty disgusting, to be totally honest with you. And then he goes into, oh, again, you hear this argument too. Oh, they could have done genocide, but they're not doing it. Well, actually, no, they actually can't. Because again, look at the amount of international pressure right now. Israel has basically become kind of a pariah state. Let's be totally honest about this, guys. Besides the United States, even the allies of Israel are turning off. I mean, it really is just the United States who's full in lockstep with Israel at this point. Now, again, you couldn't, again, as Huckabee is suggesting, oh, they could have just dropped an atomic bomb. Well, first of all, I mean, no, they can't, because there would be immense international outcry. I mean, the fact that even a conversation is so insane, and it tells you where we're at right now. But no, they can't, because of the international outrage, and Israel would have, I mean, they probably would have been invaded by other Arab countries if they were to actually do something like that. So no, they could, this is probably the most they could possibly do. So in terms, with getting away with it. So again, it's totally insane, ridiculous argument from Huckabee there. And then he goes into saying, oh no, Israel should be getting credit. They should be getting credit for what's going on with the civilian population. I mean, say what you want. Giving them credit is insane. Look what's going on in the Gaza Strip. It's a massive humanitarian crisis. You want to give Israel appreciation and the government appreciation for what's going on? What are you talking about? That is just totally insane to me. So that's the first clip, and it gets better, guys. Or worse, actually, depending on how you look at it. So here's the second clip, and we'll talk about it after. It only gets worse from here.
Gaza Health Ministry credibility. I would say that post-October the 7th, their credibility is pretty poor. I remember when Israel was accused of bombing a hospital and killing a bunch of people, and that made all headlines across the world, and Israel was vilified for it. Turns out it wasn't anything they shot. It was a Hamas rocket that went astray, That's what blew up in the hospital. Israel had nothing to do with it. So did those figures get counted in there? Here's the point I think we can agree on. We may argue about the numbers.
Oh, okay. So where to even begin with this one? So again, he basically says, "Oh, look at all the propaganda against Israel right now." I mean, they were accused of bombing a hospital. Again, in the very beginning of the conflict, guys, I'm sure you remember possibly where Israel was accused of bombing. I think it was the Al Ali hospital, and it was a massive international scandal at the time. Israel denied it, and they said, "Oh, okay, obviously it wasn't us. It was total propaganda." It just shows the entire world's against us. Well, since then, they have bombed countless hospitals. And Huckabee's bringing this up like it's a point in his favor. Like, dude, they've been bombing all these other hospitals where they killed the journalist the other day. It was literally at a hospital complex. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Again, they've conducted a number of strikes on at the hospital facilities. What are you talking about? Again, the propaganda is again. This is the U.S. ambassador, guys. This is not the Israeli ambassador. This is the American ambassador to Israel, not the Israeli ambassador to America. Let's be very clear here. This guy is representing the United States of America, and he's just spreading this outright propaganda. Like, what is going on here? This is just totally out of control, totally insane. I don't know how anybody buys this stuff. It's so insane at this point. It's totally insane, ridiculous. So that's second clip, and here's the third clip we're going to be talking about now of him responding to the journalist who worked the Al Jazeera team who was killed at a hospital complex. By the way, again, insane. Here's the clip, and we'll talk about it.
I'll be honest. I'm going to lean with the Israelis far quicker than I'm going to lean with Hamas. And I do know that I don't think that they would just go target a journalist just so they could take him out because they didn't like what he's saying. I think they're a much better country than that. They have a much better moral code than that. And I'm going to give them credit for that. If somebody can prove that they targeted the journalist who was a completely innocent guy and all he was trying to do was objectively report the news, and he never had any association with Hamas. He really was not aiding and abetting them. He really did not have a relationship with them. He wasn't a part of them in some way. Then sure, let's investigate that. Let's bring that to the surface and hold.
Okay, so more propaganda from the U.S. ambassador there. Again, totally insane. First of all, they wouldn't. I don't think they would just target journalists. First of all, it's been one of the deadliest conflicts for journalists in the history of the world. That's how bad it's been. I think several hundred journalists, Palestinian journalists, have been killed inside of the Gaza Strip. So the idea that, oh my gosh, Israel would never target a journalist. What? What are you talking about, Mike? Again, totally insane. And again, does he know this? Or like, my question is, I'm curious what you guys think. Is it ideological? Like, does he literally believe this propaganda, or is he just lying? I don't know. I mean, you can't possibly think this. You cannot possibly think this. Israel has a better moral code. They would never do something like that. Have you seen the Gaza Strip? A better moral code. What are we talking about here? And again, notice how he says, oh, well, if it's proven that he's always a totally normal journalist, he has no affiliation, whatever, to Hamas or anything, that listen to how he describes it. He doesn't say, there needs to be massive consequences. No, he says, oh, then it should be investigated. No, it should be investigated immediately. What are you talking about? It should be investigated immediately. But no, he doesn't want an investigation because he probably knows what's going to be found is nothing good. And by the way, this guy who was killed, and it wasn't just him, by the way. We're talking about this one guy, but notice how they don't even mention, like when the Israelis, they give they said, oh, this guy was in Hamas. They don't mention the other people of the Al Jazeera team who were killed, who, as far as I'm aware, there weren't even accusations. Oh, it's collateral damage. We can kill a bunch of journalists. It's collateral damage. Wow. This guy is one of the most prominent journalists in the entirety of the Gaza Strip. This guy was massively viral. And interestingly enough, this comes right before the massive expected assault on Gaza City. So, of course, there's speculation. Well, they probably didn't want anything documented. That's why they took this guy out. Again, I don't know, but it's certainly a fair question at this point. It is so wild. And again, the thing that's crazy, the Journalist Federation the Council for Protecting Journalists, they released a statement a couple weeks ago saying, we think the Israelis might target this guy. So this guy needs to be protected. And you know what happened? Nothing happened. They didn't care, and they bombed him. Absolutely insane. And to me, just beyond disturbing. So wild stuff. And here's a final clip, and we'll talk about it after. This is Mike Huckabee talking about the famine in the Gaza Strip, or according to him, oh no, the famine's not the issue. People actually just need Ozempic. I'm not joking. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it.
They demanded in one of the negotiations just 2.5 weeks ago was that GHF had to be shut down. Why would Hamas want to shut it down? I'll tell you why. Because GHF method of getting food has really hurt their capacity to control the food market, and it's costing them money. Otherwise, they would say, sure, Go ahead and bring the food. And all we care about is people getting to eat. But they don't care about people getting to eat. They care that they eat. And if you look at the people from Hamas, when they get photographed, they're well fed. None of them are hungry. I guarantee you, look at their faces, look at their bodies. And instead of food, they could use some of those.
Okay, so finally there, I mean, again, he says, and again, it's just insane to say, like, at this point, you're making light of what's the starvation crisis that's going on in the Gaza Strip. Again, they're making it seem like it's fake, but again, there's reports every day of children starving to death. Okay, so this is a very serious situation, and they have Mike Huckabee making jokes about, oh, they need Ozempic. They don't need they actually don't need food. They need Ozempic. And again, they're talking about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Huckabee brings up. Okay, first of all, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, according to whistleblowers, they're literally shooting people at these aid distribution centers, and they denied, of course. But again, the goal of this is to not let aid in. And again, don't just listen to me. Listen to what the government ministers like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir are saying. They're openly saying this is the plan for the Gaza Strip. It's beyond insane. Imagine a year ago, you asked Mike Huckabee, oh, are the Israelis plan on just occupying the entirety of the Gaza Strip? He would have said, no, that's complete conspiracy theory. Well, guess what? That's what's openly the plan now. Beyond insane stuff. And again, just to be clear, guys, this guy is supposed to be representing the United States of America. And he appears to be like if you had no idea who this guy was, you would think, oh, he's the Israeli ambassador. Of course. Nope. He's the American ambassador. Think how insane that is. Beyond insane. Beyond insane. So let me know what you guys think about this, guys. Pretty enlightening interview. Now, I think it's pretty interesting. Like, now it's pretty clear why does the U.S. agree with everything Israel does? Because people like Mike Huckabee are the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Ridiculous, guys. Totally ridiculous. So let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments, guys. Again, make sure to like and subscribe. And again, if you want to become a member, you can join below. So crazy things going on. My Patreon link is also below as well if you want to join. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.